Our biggest confusion as spiritual seekers is that what we're looking for is beyond this. But actually, it's the opposite. What we're looking for is actually in this and is this. So when we're taught consciousness teachings, which are really beautiful teachings and they have their relevance, we're taught that there is something beyond this conscious of this. So there's something prior to the body-mind mechanism which is conscious of this. And it's a great teaching because it helps point out intellectually that there is something experiencing the person which isn't the person. And it's really profound how it does that, and that's a beautiful realization. But actually, it goes even deeper than that. So the way life is experiencing itself at the moment is through the senses. And we say in the West we have 5 senses, but actually there's many more senses than that. There's feelings, there's thoughts, there's intuition, there's many senses. But that's the way life is experiencing itself at the moment, is through the sensation of this. And the world and the sensation aren't separate. So we believe in our thought system that what we touch is separate from us. But actually, we wouldn't know touch if there wasn't something to touch. If there was nothing for us to touch, there wouldn't be touch. They exist together. The sense of something and the sense of something and the sensing are the same thing. So that which you experience through the sensing and the sense are one and the same thing. It's all there ever is sensation. In this reality, that's the way this is experienced. And sometimes when we get into this subject, we try to get away from sensation. We try to go beyond that, but it's not beyond it, it's in it. We believe that consciousness is separate from the sensation, but actually the consciousness and the knowing of this, the experiencing of this, is in the sensation. Not out of it, not looking at it, it is in it, it's in what's happening. When you believe it's consciousness, there's still a divide in the mind happening that's looking back or in some way intellectually knows consciousness that's conscious of. You cannot know what I'm speaking about, it is only known, it's only the way it is. You cannot see the experiencer, yet it is here in everything. So when you first have that realization, often there is a part of the mind that knows consciousness. If you know what this is, in intellect, in thought, in some way, you as the person know it, it's not it. It's even more direct than that. It's a great pointing and it's a great step, but it's actually in what's happening. So this is an embracing of everything. This is an embracing of being human 100%, because it's in the sensation, it's in the experience that who you truly are is found. So it's in the feeling, it's in the touch, it's in the sight, it's in the hearing. Not something that's conscious of that. The senses are conscious, the world is conscious, because the senses aren't separate from the world. They're one and the same thing. You never see outside of the sensations. There is sight, there is hearing. And it's not belonging to you, it doesn't belong to the body. The world and the body are one and the same thing. And life is experiencing itself through the sensations. This is an absolute intimacy with what's happening. And in what's happening, the world is and isn't. The world exists and doesn't exist. This is real and unreal. But this is a really hard subject to talk about because we only can speak about it in the world of opposites, in comparison, because that's how our language works in this and that. So it's incredibly hard to point to. So consciousness is such an easier way to speak about it. And it's beautiful, that way of teaching. But there really isn't a place to avoid being human. This is the human experience. It's not anybody's experience, but it's looking through these instruments.